It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Hey, good morning and welcome to the Travel and Cruise Industry News Podcast. On this, the second day of January 2024, coming to you from Bedford County, Virginia. Exciting day today with a special guest. It's been here many times before, Frank Bubba Shumard. We'll get to that to Bubba here in a minute. I do have a couple news stories we'll get to after my interview with Bubba. Icon of the Seas Azipods. What? We got to talk about that. Yep. Japanese airline burst into flames this morning after a collision. And oddly enough, nobody that was on the plane, the airline's part of it, was injured. Disney Fantasy Rescue. Chinese built ship on its inaugural sailing. Caribbean debut for the celebrity Ascent, and lots more here live at 11 o'clock this morning. Today is National Cream Puff Day. That's right up my alley. I could dig that all the time. If you're listening via the podcast, you can always access the podcast via my blog, which is accessadventure.net, or wherever you get your podcasts from. Just search for Travel and Cruise Industry News, and up pops the Fat Travel Guy. If you're listening to the podcast and ever want to jump over to the video feed, you can do just that by going to the description of the podcast, and there'll be a link so you can hop over in case you want to see pictures or clips or, like today, interviews. Today, folks, is T-minus 45 as of a few minutes ago. I'm 45 away from 5,000 subscribers on the channel, which is great. Of course, I've still got 225,000 subscribers on X. And, we're doing 2,000 a day on the podcast. So we got some pretty substantial numbers. All right. I just got to bring in my guest. Frank Bubba Shumard, he's like Mr. Holland America. He knows more of and has done more with Holland America than anybody I know. So let's just, he's been here a bunch of times before. Bubba, welcome back to the Travel and Cruise Industry News Podcast. Happy New Year.
Good to be here, Chillie. Thank you.
All right, so I got a bunch of questions for you. Now, the main thing, I guess, one, as much as you traveled this year, it's always good to see you and Lynn when you're actually heading back home, which you did just before Christmas. And that was Fort Lauderdale Airport, I think, actually going back home. How many days were you at sea this year in 23?
Chillie, that's a really good question. Honestly, I don't know. We did a cruise that we came back from, and we were home for both holidays. Had to come home the day before Thanksgiving, and boy, I love traveling the day before Thanksgiving. And we came home a day before Christmas as well. I think we were close to about 90 days or more in 23. It was a very, very aggressive cruise year for us, trying to make up for when the dreaded disease with no name, or that I won't name, hit and shut everything down. It was an amazing experience this year, and we're hoping to do just about as much next year. I just hit 300 days on Holland America, so kind of proud of that.
And was this, let's see, was that, I can't see the pictures here. Is that it? Yes. Was that the ceremony for when you hit 300 days?
There was the ceremony when Lynn hit 300 days. She hit it before I did. Before I met Lynn, she had already cruised on Holland and knew it well, and actually sold me on it. The company I was working for at the time I met her had given me a cruise on another cruise line that I won't mention, and I sure won't go aboard again.
I understand.
The older I get, the less less tolerant I get.
It seems almost, Bubba, like you're the John Heald of Holland America. I mean, I know you don't have an official position, but boy, it just seems like, I mean, you're constantly like having dinner with uh, officers, and I see you with captains all the time.
Those two lovely ladies. One of them, the one in the forefront, is Tracy, and she is the general manager's executive assistant on the Rotterdam, and the lady in the back is Roxy. She is the event coordinator. Two wonderful, very talented, very fun and knowledgeable people. And Lynn and I thoroughly enjoyed it. We were in our favorite restaurant, which is the Tamarind, which honestly, I'd rather be in the Tamarind than anywhere else on the ship. And I'm hoping they continue to expand the Tamarind to some of the other ships. We missed it on the Volendam, and I hated that.
Yeah. All right. How many ships in the line have you not been on?
One.
Just Zandam?
And it's coming up.
Yeah,
the Zandam. It's coming up.
So then you will have been on the entire fleet.
I believe so.
Yeah.
The current fleet.
Yeah, the current fleet. I understand. All right, so that gets us back to the main question here for today. I mean, I'm real big on the legendary cruises, and you did one of my bucket list cruises for 56 days. Tell me about the Volendam.
Volendam, honestly, on that cruise seemed like being aboard our private yacht with our closest friends, and we made many friends on that cruise. It was wonderful. The ship size to me is ideal. I love the Rotterdam and the Eurodam and all the others. They're all gorgeous. But the Volendam had a personal feel to it. It was like when you ran into crew, they were always smiling. They knew us by name. Everybody knew us by name. And it's fun to be aboard a ship that size. And for a grand cruise or for a legendary cruise, to me it was an amazing experience. The captain was most personable and very popular with the not just the staff, but with, he called them his teammates, which I really appreciated, but also with the guests. He when he would walk through, I would watch Captain Adams, and he would call people by their names. Everybody he met. It was I've always admired people that can do that. I've never been able to.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah.
But I love the Volendam, and we had such an amazing trip aboard it.
All right, so you went from, let's see, you got on the Volendam in Vancouver, if I remember correctly.
Correct.
And then you went halfway around the world from there. Give us a rough idea of where all that went in those 56 days.
We sailed out of Vancouver, and I'd never been to Vancouver before, and boy, was I surprised. It is a beautiful port.
Yeah.
We went from there down to San Francisco, and from San Francisco to San Diego to Hawaii, Hawaii to French Polynesia, and many ports in French Polynesia, and it rocked. And then back from French Polynesia to San Diego, where we disembarked. I didn't want to come home.
Yeah. All right. Was the Volendam, the people on this cruise were on it for the entire time? Was it pretty close to full?
Chillie, I believe it was. There were some people that boarded in San Diego that didn't do the first two stops. But yeah, I believe it was pretty close to capacity. In fact, very close.
You mentioned Vancouver. One of the things I liked about Vancouver is the ease and availability of accessible taxi cabs. I mean, that's the first city I've found that I could get an accessible cab, roll my wheelchair right up on the in the cab without ever having to wait. I mean, it was just
I
amazing.
can see that that would be a great advantage for you, Chillie. I really
Yeah,
could. And I think you had some trouble recently with a chair, didn't you?
yeah. Well, not so much trouble with the chair. I was in New York, going from which one of the airports, Kennedy, going from Kennedy to Brooklyn, and it cost me $125
Okay.
for the damn taxi fare, and 125 back to the airport after the cruise. But yeah, so now I've been lucky enough since I've been in the chair. I have not had a chair damaged on any airlines. And it's obviously getting on the cruise ships. I love them. Of course, for years I used the scooters,
Yeah.
but now that I'm actually a brand ambassador for Will Power Chairs and Scooter Round, I use the chair. So
Okay.
Okay, so you're going on the Zandam. That's another legendary cruise, correct?
No, it's I don't think it's branded as a legendary. We're doing 2 weeks before in the Caribbean on it, and then coming back. It's a back to back, and then headed down and going up the Amazon River, water level allowing it. Which I'm thinking right now it's going to allow it because they didn't have any trouble on the last trip, so I'm
Yeah.
hoping it'll make it.
So you're
The
going back
biggest issue
South
The
America.
biggest issue right Yeah, the biggest issue right now is Brazil's come out with a new visa policy that is very invasive. But Holland didn't request that. It's their policy, and if we want to go, we've got to participate. Of course, we already got all the shots and the pills and all that good stuff, but it's going to be a pretty tremendous adventure, I think. Of course, I don't believe I'll be swimming in the Amazon, but
Yeah, I hope
we'll
not.
see. It's something about crocodiles and piranha. I don't know.
Yeah. No. That wouldn't be up my alley either. All right. So what else is up for 24?
Right now, we don't have any other plans after that. Of course, we always we try to stay close to home in the spring and summer months. Uh, Lynn is going to be looking at she's my travel guide.
Yeah.
She'll be looking at where we're going to go from there. Uh, I keep hoping that we'll do some in the Med or New Zealand or Australia. Uh, And if we had an opportunity to go back to the South Pacific, I'd be packed and at the door right now. One of the most amazing things, Chile, is we when we were in Maria. I don't know if you saw the picture. Lynn standing out on the balcony with me, and she looks down and she goes, "What is it?" And it was an octopus that was very curious about the ship, and it looked like a white ghost, but it would swim up and down the side, or they puff along. It was
Yeah.
pretty neat. The people in the South Pacific, the scenery's gorgeous, but the people are amazing. Uh, I've never seen, well, obviously never having been there before, but the people were just so fun and so welcoming. I can see why, and I mentioned this several times. I could see why sailors jumped ship in the days of Captain Cook and wanted to stay. Uh, fun time.
All right. You've got a special spot on uh, on the ships. I think this was
I
maybe
do.
on the Poland Dam. Come to think about it, you
I
like
don't
your
know where you
spot.
got that one, Chili. My favorite spot is actually, don't want it to sound bad, but the Ocean Bar in the evening.
Uh,
Uh, we that's the area where we I think the word is socialized the most, and I've met more people there because people expect to see me there. Of course, the older I've gotten, things slow down. I no longer get the drink package. I do 2 martinis a day, and I'm tickled to death with that. Uh, we do a wine package for dinner. And one thing I wanted to mention, you and I had planned to do a one of these from aboard ship while we were out. And I got to tell you, Holland America has the new Starlink internet, and it is phenomenal. You can stream, you can do anything. It's just like being actually it's faster than the connection I have here.
Right. Right. And part of that was my problem on my end of it when we were trying to do it. But one of these days we'll do a ship to ship. And yeah,
You betcha.
the start when I've been able to use Starlink, it's fantastic. Okay, so first I got two more questions for you, Bubba.
Go for it.
One, you've managed to do something this year. Now you've sailed. I had 1 year that I sailed more than you sailed this year. But I mean, that's a pretty good amount of time at sea. I'd be proud to do that every year, as a matter of fact. But this year, you did it and lost 60 pounds. How in the hell did you do that, Bubba?
Well, type 2 diabetes and not wanting to be type 1 diabetes and being a heart patient and everything. My doctor sat me down and said, okay, there's something you can do about this. There's a there's a drug. It's become quite popular. I take Ozempic, and it knocked 60 pounds off of me in about 8 months.
Wow.
I dropped from a 44-inch waist down to a 38. Chillie, I used to get out. If you've been to Costa Maya.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I used to get out of breath walking the pier at Costa Maya. Oh, look at that good looking guy.
Yeah, no, it's not disgusting. I mean, Bubba was never as fat as I am, but he was considerably chunkier than that picture.
Absolutely. It has been amazing for me. Of course, there's a couple of issues with it. Number one, when you're on nothing but Social Security, it does eat up a lot of your pay.
Yeah.
But what's my health worth? And that was it. What is my ability to be mobile and not stop and have to huff and puff? So it was a lifestyle decision I made. I do understand that to maintain this weight like this, I'm going to have to take it the rest of my natural life, which I hope is a long one. But it has helped my health. I've got a cardiac visit coming up Friday, and I'm thinking it's going to be great. My regular physician is happy as she can be. My knees, my hips don't hurt anymore when I'm moving around, and I don't have to stop and breathe every 10 minutes.
Can you do the long walking that's required on cruises now?
Yeah, I can handle anything I need to do. And when we did the river cruise last year, it was ridiculous. I I kidded I probably shouldn't say this, but it was kind of funny on the river cruise. It was you will be downstairs at 8 o'clock and you will be ready to go. Oh no. Uh, but on the ship, yeah, I move around as rapidly as possible. I actually lost 8 pounds while we were aboard, and I didn't, I eat what I want. I just don't have the appetite anymore.
Yeah.
And that's the blessing. It reduces your appetite.
Now, speaking of appetites, I get back to my second question. You have to tell me about that damn seafood extravaganza or whatever it's called. And I couldn't find a picture of it this morning to flash. But it was
because I'd get hungry looking.
The Volendam. And tell me about that.
It was. I didn't know it was going to happen. I happened to be. Lynn has gotten where she's playing mahjong a lot, which has become a big passion of hers. Besides us playing AC-deucey or backgammon every day, but somebody said, "Oh man, you need to go upstairs and see to the Lido and see the seafood." And I went, "Yeah, okay, big deal." and don't get me wrong, I love the Lido deck.
Yeah.
It's great. But I went up there and there was a line from one side of the Lido going all the way around past the elevators. And I went, what in the world? So I just thought, well, I'll walk around there and take some pictures of whatever it is. And holy cow, they had stuff like I've never seen before. Alaskan king crab. Chef Javier and the food and beverage director, Ali, had put on they put on a feed. And as I understand it, and don't anybody hold me to this, it's on, they do it at least once on every legendary cruise or on every grand cruise. I've never seen anything like it on any other, and may never again. I'm sure it was very, very expensive. Uh, but I think if you've got a food and beverage director and an executive chef that monitor their budgets and monitor their purchases and are very conscious of how much they spend, at some point they have to spend a certain amount of money in a cruise. That's their budget. So I think they had some success. I don't know that for a fact, but it was amazing. And it's the first time in this country boy's life that I ever had Alaskan king crab, and sure hope I get an opportunity again someday. We get snow crab here, but it was something to see and something to eat.
Alaskan
They
king
had
crab is it's something special.
it's the stuff, I'm telling you.
Yeah. All right. Just out of curiosity, do you have a yearning to do a grand voyage?
Yeah, we do. But I think the biggest holdup, or not the biggest holdup, one of the holdups for Lynn is Lynn loves to practice piano, and there's no place to practice aboard ship.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pianos, but they won't let you touch them.
Yeah.
And I understand. Also, putting together medications for a long cruise is getting them shipped to you. I'm sure there's a way to do it. I'm sure, but that is, I matched the demographic of Holland America. In fact, on the Volendam, the demographic was the average age was 70 years of age. We had one of the cutest little 90-year-olds you've ever seen scurrying around. She made me look like I was slow. But so those are the two drawbacks. And of course, another big drawback, money. They're expensive.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And
I'm
that's why I
hoping
haven't done a legendary cruise yet. I can't afford it.
And we do cruise some time aboard. We spend some time, but the biggest deal, Chillie, is airfare has gotten ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
And if we're going to fly to Fort Lauderdale or to San Diego or Vancouver, we're not going to do a short. It just doesn't. It's not economically feasible to go out for 7 days. And honestly, 7-day cruises, 10-day cruises, we do a back-to-back because of that at least. It's fun, and I don't know, Chillie. And by the way, I didn't wish you Happy New Year and Merry Christmas. One of the things that has really begun to impress me about Holland America, along with everything else, is the crew. They seem to have handpicked some of the finest people that I've ever dealt with. When it comes to customer service, they're all over it. I mean, they are all over it. It's what can we do to make this better for you? And of course, even on our group now and then, and Chillie, we don't allow a lot of complaining. And my theory or mantra is, if you can't find something you like on a Holland America ship, you're not trying.
Yeah.
If you don't like what you're being served for dinner, say something. Don't come on and complain on the web, because that doesn't do any good. Tell your server, hey, can I get something else? Because they will rapidly take what you have and get you whatever you want. And if you're still not satisfied, ask to speak to the chef. They may have to prepare it the night before, or you may have to tell them the day before, which they'll give you a copy of the menu in advance. It always shocks me when I see people that are upset. Naturally, nothing's perfect. They can't please us all the time. What's remarkable about me, and Lynn will tell you, I'm one of those occasionally can be a grumpy old man, get off my lawn. Uh, it just amazes me to see how wonderful these people are. And I don't have anyone on the legendary. I didn't run into not one crew member that wasn't smiling. And I got to tell you, Chillie, that's not built in.
Yeah.
On a bad day, when I'm not happy, everybody knows it. My face is like a billboard. Uh, Blessedly, that's few and far between, and I hope it stays that way. But they put a smile on my face every morning when you walk on deck. How are you today? They're glad to see you.
I find it interesting that you and I'm not saying a preference, but that you like the size wise, which means also the older ships as opposed to the newer ships, which I do too with Holland America.
It's to me, like I say, it's more intimate.
Mm-hmm.
I got to know crew members that were outside of my realm of I call it realm of friends.
Right.
Uh, you'd see them every morning on the Lido, or you'd see them somewhere in the hall, passageway. And after a while, they get to know you by name. It's phenomenal. But don't get me wrong, the Rotterdam, I don't know if I ever told you this, but the first Holland America ship I ever saw was while I was on my first cruise. I walked out on the balcony and I looked, looking around in Fort Lauderdale, and directly aft of our ship was the Eurodam. And I looked at that and I said, "That's what a cruise ship should look like. It's dark hull and it's shimmering white superstructure. It just looked like I thought of cruise ships, and I didn't want a snowball. I want something that looks like a cruise ship, and it fits the bill perfectly. And our first cruise was on the Westerdam, and I love the old Westie. It's a fine ship. Uh, but like I say, we've been aboard all of them now except the Zandam, and I'm really looking forward to it. Uh, there was one ship that they had, and I don't remember which one it was, but the swimming pool was on the aft deck was about 6 inches deep, and that wasn't a favorite. I like to hang out back there in the afternoon, but I'm enjoying the fleet, and I know Holland hasn't got any ships on the ways right now. They don't have anything under construction,
Right.
and frankly, they don't need to, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not the CEO, but if I ever become it, you'll know it.
Yeah.
I don't think that they should grow any bigger. I look at the icon of the sea, and I'm going, not a chance. You're getting me aboard that.
Yeah. One of my stories this morning, the Icon is on its way over for its inaugural cruise. They stopped to have the Azipods worked on a brand new ship. Now,
Well,
is that
that's
because
a
the
shakedown.
thing is so huge? I mean, Royal Caribbean hasn't had the issues with Azipods that like the Carnival ships have had, but wow, I found that shocking. But I wouldn't. I'm not sure I'd want to get on it either.
Well, I don't enjoy huge crowds. I don't. Lynn laughs at me, but I tell her it brings out the Tourette's in me. Uh,
Yeah.
it's just, and again, I guess it's the grumpy old man in me. I don't like if I go to the swimming pool, I don't want a whole bunch of people out there shouting and screaming and music so loud that I can't carry on a conversation. And again, I think that's typical of people our age.
Right.
Uh, I'll tell you one thing that I am going to miss terribly, and that on some of the ships is the BB Kings.
Oh, I love BB Kings too.
Oh my gosh, we had such an amazing time with the BB King band on this last cruise, and I met some people before we cruised that had just come off of, I believe, the New Amsterdam that were part of the BB King band, and they were being shuffled through. And that's another thing that Holland has really stepped up on, and that's the talent.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Didn't see a bad show.
Yeah.
Had a good comedian aboard. We had the gentleman that does a cover for Neil Diamond aboard. We had Mr. Finkel, and he was an amazing pianist. I could go on and on. It just was the Holland America talent is great. The food has, in my opinion, improved dramatically. Not
That's the
just, and
reason
I
I
don't mean that.
started liking Holland America, because I thought it was great a couple of years ago.
That's it. Like I said, if you can't find something you like, nobody can find anything you like.
Right. Well, I was on in 23. I was on Zandam and I was on Nordam, and I loved both ships. Again, for almost the same reasons you do. Crew wise, they're phenomenal. Food wise, phenomenal. It's just entertainment wise is as good as you can get. I've been a big fan of Holland America since I was on the Zyder Dam. Wow, that was 7, 8 years ago now that I was on the Zyder Dam. So, well, Bubba, I can't thank you enough I wanted to get back with you, and now I'm going to look forward to this your next little venture here on one that you haven't been on. Maybe we can do a ship to ship this time around.
Either that or a ship to shore. We'll be leaving out, I believe, February 3rd and returning about the middle of March.
Okay. Well, I'm going to be February 5th. I get on MSC, and February 4th I get off of Norwegian. So maybe we can do something around one of those. I'll see how my signal is on the MSC, because sometimes that's a little iffy. They don't have Starlink yet. So,
thank you, Mr. Musk.
No kidding. No kidding. I love it. All right, Mr. Bubba, thank you very much. And give my best to Lynn, and keep posting those pictures, because I steal stuff from you every day and have it on the air. So I'm constantly talking about you two when you're out on an adventure.
Well, I appreciate it, Chillie, and always glad to be aboard.
All right, Bubba, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you again.
All right. Have a great day.
Yeah. All right. That's my friend Bubba Shumard. Always good to catch up with him. All right, guys, I'll be back with a couple news stories after a quick break from one of our network sponsors. Okay, guys, the top news story today comes from Royal Caribbean Nationals, Icon of the Seas, which is currently crossing the Atlantic ahead of its inaugural cruise. After being delivered by Meyer Turku shipyard in late November, the ship is being prepared to sail its first commercial voyage January the 27th. That's coming up in 3 weeks. Built in Finland, the Icon left Europe earlier this month and arrived at the port of Ponce in Puerto Rico yesterday for a technical visit. While being prepared to welcome its first guest, the ship also visited Cadiz in Spain, where it entered one of the dry docks at the shipyard. During its stay at the facility, the LNG-powered vessel received over 10,000 plants and trees, which will be used in the Central Park area. But according to local resources, and Royal Caribbean's not said a word about this yet, folks, the Icon underwent technical work during the dry dock, including repairs to one of the Azipods. Now, personally, folks, I find that troubling that they've had to repair an Azipod already. I'm sorry, folks. I'm just, the ships that continually have problems with those. It seems to go on forever, as Carnival can attest to. But wow, on a brand new ship, was that they did all the testing and stuff on Icon and more than normal because of the difference in size. I don't know. I found that one troubling. All right. The next story this morning comes from over on the other side of the seas in Japan. A Japan Airlines plane was engulfed in flames after landing at Haneda Airport earlier today. Flight JL 516, which was traveling from Chitose, Hokkaido, apparently struck a Japanese Coast Guard plane as it was landing. Officials told the broadcast folks over there, saying that was from the preliminary assessment. The aircraft landed about 5:47 p.m. local time and burst into flames after the apparent collision with the Coast Guard plane. The amazing thing about this, folks, was two of the aisles were blocked because of the damage from the collision. So they had one ramp that the crew got all the passengers out of a burning plane and off without anybody getting hurt. I mean, that was just phenomenal how they emptied that plane in, literally like minutes. So Japan does a lot more work during flights on that kind of thing, pre-flight, than we do in the States. But still, that was amazing work on the crew over there. Unfortunately, 5 of 6 people that were on the Coast Guard plane perished in the accident. So that was, Japan's had it rough. The earthquake and tsunami yesterday. As a matter of fact, the Coast Guard plane was flying to provide some earthquake relief. So, sad situation. So, Japan's had it a bit rough here. All right, the next story today, folks. As Disney Fantasy was sailing just north of Cuba yesterday, a small unpowered craft was spotted with 4 individuals crowded on board. The cruise ship immediately stopped to assist, sending out its own pilot craft and rescue personnel to bring the refugees aboard. All 4 individuals were successfully rescued and would have been given immediate medical care necessary aboard the Fantasy, as well as food and water. The cruise ship diverted course slightly to rendezvous with Cuban Coast Guard authorities in order to transfer the refugees to the proper authorities. Repatriating refugees back to the country of origin is standard practice with these type of rescues. When refugees are brought aboard a cruise ship, they may be taken to the next port of call in order to reach the authorities, depending on where they are found and how convenient a rendezvous may well be. So, the incident, which happened approximately 10 miles off Cuba's northern coast, just northwest of Havana. Since Disney Fantasy was very close to Havana at the time, it was easy for the ship to divert without a huge impact to the current itinerary. While we're over on the other side of the world, we need to talk about Adora Cruises. The new Chinese cruise line is now officially in business as Adora Magic City has welcomed her first commercial guests on board and set sail on her maiden voyage yesterday. The first ever cruise ship built in China for the Chinese market is sailing into the new year with style as she has departed Shanghai. It's a especially auspicious beginning for the new cruise line, which hopes to further China's technical development, as well as provide a unique and engaging experience for cruise travelers. Adora Magic City's maiden voyage is a 6-night cruise round trip from Shanghai with visits to Jeju in South Korea, as well as Fukuoka and Nagasaki in Japan. More than 3,000 guests are on board the historic sailing. And finally this morning, folks, the celebrity Ascent. We're in a little bit of everybody today. The Caribbean welcomes the latest addition to Celebrity and Cruises fleet as Celebrity Ascent, the fourth vessel in the Edge series, officially made her debut in the region, operating out of Port Everglades. That'd be Fort Lauderdale. Celebrity Ascent embarks on regular sailings to both the Eastern and the Western Caribbean. All right, guys, that actually wraps up the news portion of today's show. Let's go see who's fussing at me in the chat room this morning. I have not, my other computer is down, so I didn't even have it on to see if anybody was saying anything. All right, Joanne's with us. Gretchen's here. Hi, Gretchen. Robert's with us. Good morning, Robert. Hot Air Tom is here. I claim a finder's fee for today's headline. Yeah, Hot Air Tom sent me a copy of the story on Icon. So I'll be happy. Just put it on my bill, Hot Air Tom. Steve's with us out in Kentucky. Mike's with us. Hi, Mike. Hot Air says 54 days until our next cruise on the Jade out of Tampa. Gretchen says 34 for them. Let's see. How many days do I have now? 26 until I sail next. And then we're going to do back-to-backs. I didn't even have a chance to mention the Cruise with Chillie program. If any of you are interested, let me know. I booked 3 people on it yesterday. I also booked a couple cruises to Alaska in 25 yesterday, and possibly 2 cruises to Iceland and Norway. So I was pretty busy yesterday. Let's see. Steve says I still have 130 days until my first cruise. I wonder what line has no name. Huh? Am I missing something, Gretchen? I'm not sure what line has no name. Anyway, you have time to book them a last minute one before then. I'll have another cruise transatlantic before you get to yours. Cindy's with us. Hi, Cindy. Next for me is Bliss in 61 days. I was just talking about Bliss yesterday with Nate, because Nate was wanted to know if there was any way I could do a host possibly a group on for New Year's next year. And unfortunately, the cruise would last until the 5th of January. And on the 4th, I will be on the Bliss on my way to Southampton with Hot Air Tom. Steve says, I'd love to do that, but the wife can't get off work. Katie's with us. Hi, Katie. As this Titan 2024 version for Joseph Riker is with us. Good morning again. Glad to have you back with us. Hot Air Tom says, my Sydney retired suddenly in 2019 when a new bank branch manager would not approve her 2 weeks vacation. Time to get her back to work to pay for Chillie's cruises. Yeah, sure. I hear you, Hot Air. Amy's with us. Good morning, Amy. 4 days until my next cruise on the Jubilee. Oh, boy. It's I don't have an overwhelming desire to do a lot of the late Carnival ships, but for some reason, I want to do the Jubilee. And maybe it's because it's Galveston. I don't know. I Googled how to get from the Miami Amtrak station to the Metro. This is for Chillie, my January 25th Bliss trip. I found you can walk or ride, in Chillie's case, from Amtrak station to the Metro station. It's 1,300 feet in 6 minutes. Chillie doesn't know what is in store for him. Oh, yeah. I'll deal with it. I did further than that. Where was I? Oh, I was in Vancouver when I went from the cruise station to the train station to ride the train out to the airport. It was about probably a mile and change to the train station. And I just sailed right along. I do okay out there, Hot Air Tom. Oh, yeah. Hot Air Tom says octopus brings to mind the huge monsters in old sci-fi movies with the octopus wrapping around the ship and sinking. Yeah. Becky Harris says, hello. Hello, Becky. Glad to have you with us. How are you doing today, guys? I think we're all doing great. Emily's with us. Good morning, Emily. Up in New York. Hot Air says, Bubba needs to book the 3 garden suite on Star or Sky, probably on the 4 Jewels. They have a baby grand piano in the suite living room. That would solve the problem. Yeah, but that's Bubba's, and he'll occasionally do something other than Holland America, but not very often. They've done Royal a couple times, and they did the river cruise during the year this past year. But he does not sail on. He doesn't like NCL. He doesn't sell on other Carnival brands. But he's huge with Holland America. Bubba's a brilliant planner. That's why we do back-to-backs too. The travel to get to and from the cruise needs to be spread out over a decent length cruise. I'm finally catching on to that, Hot Air Tom. I was able to take just a 1 week cruise. Now, I didn't do a back-to-back on that, but added another cruise on. So, yeah, and again, I'm tight. It's a lot. I have trouble spending the money, Tom, but I am seeing some definite, especially with the cost of travel today, even if with me driving. Of course, then you got added parking too. So Cindy says, I live close to all the ports in Florida and still work full time. So I need to take shorter ones. Yeah, that's true. have to wait for retirement for the long ones. Well, it's definitely, Cindy, again, I would jump on longer cruises, and I keep trying to come up with ways of financing it. And, that's why I'm, doing this countdown on to 5,000, because supposedly if you hit that mark, then I don't know, it does something to the procedures on how they farm your shows out. So it should, stimulate the growth of the channel. But to get it up to where it pays me to do some of the stuff I do, so I could pay for some of these cruises, would be a hell of a lot better than all of it coming out of my pocket. So we'll see. And I'm exploring some other possibilities on, doing some Amazon stuff. Could be a possibility. I'm just looking for ways of financing what I do, quite frankly, so I can do more. And part of it is I'd love to do any of the legendary cruises. We're going to have, on Friday, we're going to be talking about legendary cruises again with Holland America, because, man, I'd love to do one of those. So we'll see. One of these days. Gretchen says, I'm wondering if Sun Princess will really be ready to sail at the beginning of next month. Wouldn't count on it. I haven't seen any problems yet, at least that I've gotten from the inside. So I can't really comment on that, Gretchen. So many people complain about the food since COVID. I wonder if they have had COVID and had their taste buds ruined. I don't know. People just, for some reason, want to complain about cruising. I had a person that I sailed with that complained about the food constantly and had the same things that I had and I thought was delicious. So I don't know. I rarely ever have a bad meal. I think I had one bad meal all year, and it was ordering something that I didn't know what it was and I didn't care for it. That doesn't happen very often with me, because normally I'm ordering what I know I like, and so I'm always happy with that. So rarely do I have a meal on a cruise that I don't like. And I'm sorry. Everybody does prime rib a little differently, but prime rib is always good to me, at least. And I mean, I don't like it overcooked, but flavor-wise, it's pretty close. Gretchen says, we're steering away from the mega ships too. Enjoyed Allure, but the crowds were hard on the nerves. That's one reason we booked, this hot air Tom saying, we booked a 24-day on Oceania Allura, and 25, the ship only holds 1,250. Will be quite a change from even the smaller NCL ships. I like the smaller ships. Now, I've not been on a 1,250 passenger ship for 40 years. But yeah, I tend to be very happy on smaller ships. I like the Holland America. I like the size of the Zandam and the Noordam. That was great. I liked the new Staten Dam, but it was too big. I didn't have anything wrong with it. I just like smaller ships a little bit. Royal Caribbean, I've done better as on bigger ships than on smaller ships for some reason. I don't know. Norwegian, I do okay on the larger ships as well. Maybe it's just what you're used to. I don't know. We are getting close to sailing on Oceania. We are getting close to sailing on Oceania. Hot Air says, thanks, Bubba. Thank you, gentlemen. Emily says, we almost did Italy with them in 2017. Well, Oceania is a premium line. It's a step above the mass market cruise lines that we're mostly used to. Gretchen says, I can't take 24 days, though. Boy, I can. Carolyn Smith is here. Hi, Carolyn. Good to have you with us. That cruise is in segments with a return to Miami mid-cruise. I think you can book the shorter segments. The first port for us goes to Eastern Caribbean, then hit some islands, not normal, on the normal itineraries. After a port day in Miami, it departs for Western. Yeah. Katie says 25 days to Icon. Now, Katie seems to do fine on the big ships from Royal. They seem to be on they're doing all the big ones. And I have no problem with that. I kind of like a little bit less, crowds, less bells and whistles. I don't care about the bells and whistles that much because a lot of those I can't take part in anyway. Especially with some of the smaller ships, for instance. And again, Holland America has really good entertainment for a smaller ship. Really quality. Their piano bars on almost every ship I've been on has been as good as I've ever found anywhere. That's one of the things I like is the piano bar. And like Bubba said, BB Kings, I'm sorry they're taking that out of ships now because I love that. I like classical music, but I usually don't go to classical music on the Holland America ships, but it's available. The shows they're fun. They're good. So, M says, Katie, take pics from Icon. Amy says, was a cruise you booked to Iceland and Norway on the Norwegian Star in May? No, it was on you have to ask me that, wouldn't you? Was it on Viva? Hang on, let me see if I can find that real quick, Amy. Without looking it up. America. Yeah, I'll be able to. Let me see. I'm trying to find that, Amy. I want to say. I don't remember. Is that it? May. Prima. I was on the Prima. So, yeah, I looked at the Star also, but the dates weren't quite what they wanted. So the Prima was a can't remember now the dates. I did so much yesterday; it's all kind of muddled together. I was really busy, literally all day and well into the night last night. Finally, I just said, "That's it, folks. I'm done." Emily says 439 days to Seaside out of Miami. She does plan to go to Canada. That would be cool. He couldn't come up with the cruise line he didn't like. Oh, Bubba called it the other line or no name. Okay. Now I see what you were referring to, Gretchen. I happen to know what it is. It happens to be one that Hot Air Tom and I talk about all the time that he doesn't like. So, yeah. We have cruised on Oceana Serena twice. It's one of their older ships, and it carries like 700 passengers. We loved it. Awesome, Amy. Of course, my friend Elizabeth is working on Oceana right now, and she's going to be changing ships. When did she tell me? Let me see if I can't find that. Elizabeth. Yeah. Let's see. She's going to be. Wow. I can't put my finger on that one real quick either. But anyway, she's changing ships to another Oceana. I think she gets off maybe February and she goes home for a month and then back to a different ship. I think's how it works. And I can't remember the ship she's going to because I'm not that familiar with the Oceana line. Gretchen says, we didn't care for New Amsterdam, but I think it was more the itinerary than the ship we didn't like. That can be a possibility. That can screw you up too. 700 people sounds perfect, Amy. The Prima in Iceland was my last cruise. And you know how that, oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was not a good cruise for you guys. Specifically for you, Amy, I understand. This should be interesting. Chillie motoring around the Prima. Just remember when coming off the forward elevators, go starboard. The port side does not have enough room for a wheelchair to get through. Yeah, I'm not doing the Prima hot air. I booked some folks on the Prima. So, yeah, I was talking literally. I was not booking myself. I was handling clients. So, yes, I'm working as a travel agent now. So, as a ship, I do love Prima, Amy says. Steve says, are they going to be getting rid of BB Kings on all Holland ships? I don't know if on all of them, but they pulled them out of a couple. So it's possible that that's going to be, done away with, I guess. Cindy says, can't wait for the Bliss. Going 4 days prior, staying in Hollywood. Nice. Oh, Hot Air says, oh, I had you cruising on all those. Hot Air, I couldn't afford all that. So no, these I'm booking for people. I booked them on cruises. So told you hot air, I got to make some money. So anyway, that's going to wrap me up for today, guys. As always, thanks for being with me. Again, thanks to Bubba Shumard, Frank Bubba Shumard, for being with me today. Great interview. I enjoy Bubba immensely. I like the fact that he and Lynn do so well and are able to spend close to 100 days at sea. You know, I'd like to do that every year. So we'll see. Maybe one of these days. All right, guys. That's going to wrap it up. I'll be back same time, same station tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for Wednesday Travel and Cruise Industry News Podcast. That's it for today, guys. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, think about cruising, and hopefully one day soon we'll all get together on the high seas. Have a great day, everybody.
I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry, so if you like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, Chillie chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chilliescruises.